Hello, divine, beautiful souls. This is Energy Speaks Podcast with your host, Catriel. We have a very special guest here for round 2. This is Kristen Geeslin, and we did a podcast many months ago, and I'm really excited for part 2.
Me too.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm so excited about what's happening for you in your future.
I haven't announced anything yet, so I'm excited.
Oh, okay. All right. It's a big secret right now. What we talked about last time is that something really amazing that both Catriel and I share is that we are deeply, reverent or deeply love a wisdom tradition, but we are also mystic intuitive types. So we find a way to integrate those two very different elements of our spiritual life. Yeah,
if we put us together, we'd be called a jubu.
Right, we'd be a jubu, exactly.
That's right. What my Rabbi Treiser, may he rest in peace, would always say.
And there are many of those from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's so wild how Judaism and Buddhism really, they really flow together well.
I recently attended a wonderful retreat that you put together, sponsored by the Moishe Foundation. Is that how you say it?
Moishe House and Shevet Kolot.
All right. And so I felt so much love there. And it was beautiful for me because I haven't been able to see my Tibetan Vajrayana teachers for a few years because of COVID.
Oh, wow.
And I really craved that intensely high vibration frequency, that I felt when some of the attendees at the retreat were saying their nighttime prayers. Mm-hmm. I stepped out of one area of the cottage we were in, and I could feel the vibrations, coming across the whole cottage. And then I followed that, and then I heard the prayers. And it was just that really, really high level of intention around, your own realization and the aspirations for everyone else that were, floating through the space. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that feels so amazing.
Yeah, you were in the main house sleeping there.
Yeah,
wow.
It was really sweet for me because I'm chemically sensitive, and there was something they had used to purify the other environment that wasn't great for me. But then that other space opened up. So I was sleeping overlooking Lake Declan, and, with all that beauty of the lake and the trees and just that open expanse of nature. And yeah, it was deeply restful to be in that high frequency, vibrational frequency from the prayers and the worship, and then, combined with the natural setting. It was really special.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It was such a honor to put that together, and I things moved around for me as well when I was there for the sleeping arrangements. I literally was like, I don't know where I'm going to sleep tonight. And I just kind of started putting my stuff down on the bed. And honestly, I could smell that smell as well of whatever chemical that was. And that don't mix well with me. And I got to sleep under the stars in that little area, the pavilion. Like, oh my gosh, like that was cool.
Yeah, it was. I saw you there, and I saw you in the morning when you were still sleeping, and you just looked so happy and peaceful, out there. I know you like to sleep outside anyway, so that's sort of your thing.
It is, and I haven't been able to. I've been in my parents' house since my tent. Like during the summer months, it's not a great idea to tent out in Florida, especially because of the rains, and it created mold in there, and I was also getting these little bugs and stuff that were biting the crap out of me. And I was like, so I literally was thinking last night to myself, I said, can I go out there and sleep now? Because I would feel more comfortable. When we don't have a good night's sleep, and we're not in a sacred space that we feel, it can really affect us. I've noticed that. And the one thing that regenerates me naturally is nature, and I just treasure that time of being outside. When most people think I'm crazy, they're like, well, why don't you go inside? It's like, no, like that's where I feel at home. That's where it feels right. And the trees are our lungs, and it just opens our expansiveness. And I actually want to talk on this one, since today is the first day in Sagittarius. We're creating that sacred space for our expansion right now. Higher learning, all of that, journeys as well. But I've been kind of processing a lot and saying, what does that look like for me? Because honestly, last night I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not happy where I'm at, and this isn't working. I don't know. Like, our most expansive time is in dream time.
Oh, interesting. So, but you were also talking about sacred space. And, we can create sacred spaces in a lot of different ways.
Very
and
true.
For you, getting into the tent when it's temperate and being out there with nature is a way of creating a sacred space for yourself. And, going on that retreat, creating that retreat, and the people that went on that retreat, we created a sacred space.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does seem to be easier to do that in a natural environment. Somehow the balance that nature gives us, the love generated by the plants and the trees, the energetic frequency of the plants and the trees and the beauty. And I think we just more naturally shift into our senses to a much higher level when we're in a natural environment, when there's all that beauty or we're feeling the breeze. I had an opportunity this last weekend to present at a women's retreat sponsored by Unity on the Path.
Oh, wow.
And I really felt like the retreat that you invited me to and I participated in, that was a Jewish retreat and helped me learn more about Judaism, was like the universe welcoming me, into the zone of retreats, because I wasn't a presenter with you. I was just a participant, and I could just, bask in the receiving mode. And then this retreat, I was still receiving. I was still participating in things that the other presenters offered. But this was also a time for me to share some wisdom through the Beisms system that I've created for doing intuitive readings and intuitive development. But once again, it was all about the nature. And it's on where I went is called Chinsegat Hill, and it's just about an hour north of Port Richey. Okay. And it's just that you shift, the energetic valence is different. All those negative ions are out there. And as I was walking, into a common area, the breeze that was blowing coming up the hill, there's a hill, so the breeze is funneling up the hill. And it just felt so much more profound and richer in that setting. I could maybe have had the same breeze in my front yard, but my head would be about what I'm supposed to be doing when I get in, or checking the mail, or making sure the dog's okay, or something else. And so being in that more remote environment just helped me come into the moment to a greater extent and to really enjoy being in my senses.
I love that. Wow. Before I put that retreat together, they had like for Moisha House, they had you go on a retreat. And you're right, like it kind of literally, it moves something within you, because you have to experience the receiving, and it literally puts, when you put intention with it as well, it takes things to a new level when you choose to put something together for someone else. And it since it's such a recent experience with you, I see you really, like 2 retreats now. That's going to escalate that whole experience, because you're gonna know exactly how you want to put yours together. Like,
well, interestingly enough, this group of women, there was one of the people that was an organizer, and she's got a commitment for the next time the space is available.
Oh, wow.
So there may be a place for me to just step in and support something, sort of in an organic way that's already got, some movement and some it's already moving. So I have offered that. So we'll see, if the people that have already been together and creating this particular form of retreat say, yes, we would like Kristen to do that. It was just very organic. It all came together very organically. And that felt so good, because I've actually had on my Facebook page, my professional Facebook page, that I create retreats for 5 years.
Wow.
And I haven't actually created a retreat for anyone or participated in one, but now it has manifested, okay, in the right way, in divine time, fully organically, and with the support of going to your retreat first. So yeah, that just definitely feels like a flow, and nature has actually been calling me intuitively for the last, I'd say, 2.5 years. And because, of my 9, I have a 9 in 2 places in my birth numbers,
okay,
both in my month and I think it's the month and the day. Anyway, it works out. So I have 2 9s. So that's about being a humanitarian and serving others. So the only way I could get myself to nature was to be in an environment that felt purposeful. Like, it's hard for me to just jump in the car and go to the spring, which is, I'd like to do that, but somehow it doesn't seem to manifest that way. So this is a way to get myself into nature on a more regular basis. So that was, interesting how the universe worked that through for me.
Oh, that's cool. I'm being guided. If you would you like to pick a card from the Orasoma, which was Judith's deck?
Oh, yes.
And I believe, if I'm getting this right, I'm pretty sure that it's now the week of the anniversary of her passing.
Okay.
It was around Thanksgiving.
All right.
I remember that.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
But at least we're in that time of year, and I can hear her being like, I have a message for you.
Okay, so we should give a little backstory to our listeners. Catriel and I both experienced wonderful mentoring from a woman named Judith. Catriel received empowerments for Orasoma, and I received empowerment for the Voyager Tarot. So interestingly enough, I have in front of me the mini Voyager Tarot, and he has in front of him the Orasoma deck.
Yeah, wow.
Spontaneously, folks.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, wow. Judith, I just want to say a word about Judith. Judith Hitchman. She was such a wise, beautiful soul. Taurus. Very stubborn. But, she had such a compassionate, beautiful heart that she's like that grandmother energy that would do anything for her grandbaby. And I got that perspective of her, and I really, I miss you, Judith, but I feel you all the time. So like, you're still there. And I thank you for all of your mentoring and your wisdom and your love. Mer.
Mer. I love that expression you have. This also kind of ties back to something that we talked about before when we were together, about how much we appreciate those that have gone before us, who've created the traditions, who have the wisdom, the understanding, the clarity in terms of the intuitive abilities to be able to pass them on to us. And to honor them and appreciate them, as we are in this moment, just seems like the thing to do. And understanding that it's not all about us right this minute. That there's generations of people who have gone down these paths before us and made the way for us.
Yes, Mer. I'm gonna allow you. Should I take them out, or should I
take them out?
Take them out? Okay.
Yeah. He has them in a little blue velvet bag. They're coming out now, the Orasoma cards.
Why don't you shuffle them?
Okay.
And whatever you're guided.
I actually was also interested in the Orasoma. I just was busy with learning the Voyager Tarot and then the Theta Healing, but Orasoma was actually next on my list.
Well, I have all the bottles, and well, we have a little bit of time, if you would like.
We'll see what we can do to get me started. And, of course, we could communicate in the future virtually. Okay, it's coming out. There it is, number 92.
Wow. Okay. The Temperance Return.
Interesting.
So what I was really seeing it, and I don't know if you had a particular intention when you...
I'm feeling like that might be for me personally, but also for the collective. You know, generally, you and I are that type. We're always thinking about the whole, so... It'll be interesting to see what the interpretation of this is.
I also heard this is part of your retreat journey.
Oh, interesting. Got it.
92.
So this is how we roll, folks. You know, we hear things and then we're like, okay, kind of put it together like a puzzle.
So you have, of course, these are really cool cards because they allow for a tarot card, as well as the bottle on the front. And if you're in tune with Orasoma, it is bottle 92, which is coral over olive. And coral is really about the love of wisdom. So the love of wisdom in the Orasoma translates into compassion. And Judith is directly speaking through this because I'm pretty sure she picked this, one of the last times I was with her. I'm not even kidding you. And the olive represents like that olive branch, right? It's this.
She also told me that olive in this time frame right now also represents the divine feminine.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is the leadership of the divine feminine. And so we have the Temperance Return card, and how this is different from the regular tarot. You just have the Temperance card, but this is the return journey within the Orasoma. And so it says, a sense of new relationship, both within oneself and within the world. The luminous egg begins to form. One feels the sense of energy around one. Access to more of the beings that we have been in the past and the beings that we are yet to be. Feminine leadership, independence, cooperation rather than competition. Peace as a priority. I'm sorry, but this is hilarious.
It is pretty funny, isn't it? And that was like, you know me, I always say peace and happy is my jam. And of course, this women's retreat, that's what it was all about. You know, it was all about sharing. By the end of the retreat, women were just gifting each other all these different things.
Wow.
There was a woman during the retreat that said, "Oh, I want your skirt." So of course, I just gifted it to her at the end of the retreat. And then somebody gifted me a yo-yo. They said something about, "Didn't you say you wanted to play more?" And I couldn't even remember saying that. But I must have, because it went into her heart center. She gifted me a yo-yo. Yeah, and then another woman gifted a tiara. It was had like a crystal sort of like sparkly like this.
Oh, wow.
And, there was this open space. And this is not drug-induced. I'm talking, this is just an open space out of the compassion of the heart and this idea of women coming together for the betterment of the planet and for moving consciousness forward and just elevating each one of us in a unique way, whatever the flow was, releasing. There was a couple of different exercises that were focused on, releasing, anything from the past or beliefs about self or the world that were holding holding one back. It was so, I don't know. I'm like getting a little tingly here because that was more than I don't really go into things with expectations, but if I'd had any, they would have been exceeded.
I love that. Oh my goodness. What do you say? You draw a card from James Wan list deck.
Yeah,
and then,
I want you to do it. You pull it out and let's see if it's for you. Let's do that. Let's do one for your journey.
All right, and then we'll do it the opposite way for because I feel like we should both pick one of each.
Okay, very good.
All right, let's see. All right. I got the Sun card.
I know you know what that means. It's like everything is coming up beautiful. Like all this beauty is there presenting for you. It's everything you could possibly want, desire is manifesting. It's all right there.
Wow.
All that energy. There's this big, in this particular depiction of the sun, there's like a big yellow energy ball, and the sun is a feminine face that is strong and beautiful. And you've got the divine masculine and feminine, right here walking on the beach together. And then you have money, the little coins down here in this corner. And then the coolness of the top, there's a little bit of cool reflection in the night sky, or deep below the sea to kind of balance out the, intensity of all that manifestation energy that's, red and orange.
It's really interesting about this card. The last I don't normally try to. I don't always pick an intention with the card,
right?
Because I like to see what comes up. But the last thought I had in my head, it came in at the last second. Was I'll just reveal it now. I just got accepted into conservative yeshiva in Israel for January. Now, whether that plays out exactly like that, I've been saying I'm going to Israel, and I know it's coming soon, however that unfolds. And this kind of looks like an Egyptian face here.
Oh, yes, quite.
And so, I have said to both my mom and to my buddy Mitch, when I get to Israel, we're going to Egypt. And then I'm looking at this beach, and it reminds me of Tel Aviv, the beaches in Tel Aviv, and then I look over here, and the stars in the sky remind me of the desert at night, and this sun reminds me of the desert in the day, and I'm just like, this just feels really, really right, and setting that sacred space today for the expansion, for Sag, the miracles, many friends have been reminding me, in order to partake, we have to essentially embody, experience that feeling before we get to it. And sometimes, we get stuck in our minds. It's so easy to do. And you even try to talk yourself into feeling, and it's like, dude, just let go. And that's what I've been trying to do. And this card is a representation of, I can literally feel it in this moment. I can feel it. I can embody it.
That's so cool. And I just want to say again how much I appreciate you as a human being, and how much I appreciate this energetic connection that we share. And I have to imagine it is somehow we're connecting because of our intentions, that we have a very pure, heartfelt intention for our own spiritual development and for the world's, for everyone's everything good, that we really are there. And, even though we really run in different social circles, we're in two different faith paths, but this mystic tie and this tie to this one mentor, Judith Hitchman, clearly then makes you wonder, what's our karmic past? did we, work together in some mystery school in the past, and now it's manifesting in this form at this time. It makes you
I'm sure.
Yeah, it makes you ask these questions.
Maybe we were in Egypt.
Maybe we were in that might not be too far off. I'm quite certain I did have a past life in Egypt with my dad, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow.
But he used to wear ankh all the time during my childhood. Yeah, growing up. Mm-hmm. And I know we have a close karmic connection, and I believe, and I've been regressed once. In fact, I think it was Judith who regressed me when I saw the Egypt past life.
It'd be really funny if I was like Moses and you were like the Egyptian brother.
Who knows? But
JK, guys.
It's just so interesting to allow our energetic experience to speak, which is, of course, what this podcast is all about, and how helpful that is in terms of supporting, our full actualization, as in, you actually being able to sense into this manifestation that's about to happen in your life.
Would you like to pick James Bond list?
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay.
And then I'll...
Okay, very good. All right, so another little message. I feel like I really want to do something for the collective.
Totally.
So, folks, we're going into a little phase, and according to the astrological research I've done, there's two things that we really need. We need right now a lot of love in our hearts and martial focus to really be clear about what we're leaning into manifesting. And so that martial focus would include the experience of what it feels like to be living the manifestation of your heart, to feel into that as much as you're able to do. And so then I'd just like to ask the deck, what's the guidance, for how to have that clarity of heart for manifesting your true heart's desires and holding love in your heart and being able to maintain that focus despite this period coming up with lots of energy moving in Sagittarius, apparently. Okay, let's see what comes out. It's always fun to see. Okay, so what comes out is the Surfer card, or Man of Cups. James Wanless decided we were well past the time of having royalty, so we don't have any royalty in the Voyager Tarot deck. But what we do have here is a beautiful silver horse with sort of a flower. It's sort of like a horn of plenty almost, with the flower at the top, and then the bottom part is the horse. So that's like the chariot. You're moving forward. But around this central figure, you have a lot of nature, and you see like water and waves and an iris. And, this is where you're able to catch the wave. So essentially we're doing what we can right now to catch that wave, even though there could be a lot of, power. There's so much power in a big wave. But those who are skillful and able to surf, they can ride that wave a really long time, before they have to jump off the board or, the wave is complete. So that's our challenge coming up right now, is to be able to sense into the energies that are happening and use those energies to help us move into our the vision of our heart's desires.
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga, right. Hang loose. Do the little hang loose sign, right? Woo, hang 10, yeah.
I don't remember any of this, but somehow that just came through.
That's funny.
So you mentioned collective, and I'm also going to, we're all reflections, so, it'll reflect in our personal journeys, but I want to do this at a collective level for this next Orosoma card. And specific intention, how we move forward with our soul missions. You were there at the retreat when I did the Mazel astrology, or Jewish astrology, that had to do with our Torah portions and soul missions, essentially, seeing that through both Mazel astrology and our Torah portions. And this is something that's been very revealed to me, that I'm to help people with their soul missions. And so this feels appropriate. Archangel Daniel. Whoa, okay. It's 111. Let me look that up.
Shirley, those are power numbers right there.
Right?
Yeah.
I keep seeing 111, which is funny. This is hilarious. It's not in this one. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to look it up, I guess.
I was taking a numerology presentation. I heard a numerology presentation at the retreat I was at this weekend. And this is one of the things they were talking about, is how we all, and it sort of reflects on that soul journey, that we all have sort of these numbers that come with us, based on when we were born. And the 11 and the 22, those double numbers, sort of give an added extra push. They make you the person that is going to be more visible in a certain way. So this might be encouraging people to take a look at what their soul journey is and to become visible with that. Let's see what
I have to go to the actual Orasoma website because...
See. Okay. And once again, though, what do we have here? The color looks like it is just a few shades lighter on this card. It's sort of a lime green. It's just a little bit lighter and paler than the olive green. And then the Orasoma are bottles that have water. What's the place that the water comes from?
Glastonbury Well. And Glastonbury Well, actually, okay, so the entire Earth has chakras. That's correlated with the heart chakra of the Earth.
Right. So all of the water is really special that's in these Orasoma bottles. And then there's oils added so that the different colors show vertically. So there's, like, in the top of this one is sort of a cobalt blue, and then the lower part is a lime green.
All right. We got it.
Here it is.
So mid-tone royal blue. With mid-tone olive, which is
mid-tone olive. Okay.
Yeah, it gets really interesting when you get higher up in the bottles, and then that shakes too, because the shaking aspect is like the combination of the two together is the deep blue green, which is really interesting, like ocean. So it says to restore balance between the inner and outer relationship. Main points concerning this bottle. This bottle may bring clarity into situations regarding the way in which we relate. This may enable us to discover hidden manipulations, enables clarity of speech and communication to flow easily, even in difficult situations, helps the process of being kind and compassionate towards ourselves, and allows us to generate increased compassion towards others. One of the Archangel series assists in discovering our true nature, supports us with bringing focus and intention into dreams without wasting energy, identifies opportunities for us to be ourselves without allowing any situation or circumstance to cause us to behave otherwise, finding truth and harmony within may enable us to generate kindness and love to ourselves and others. So what's interesting about this card is, like, mid-tone, we were talking about that divine feminine, and also, like, it kind of really expresses some type of healing within the self, right? And almost restoring the divine feminine aspect within ourselves, and choosing to use our throat chakra to bring that to light. And I feel like part of, like, we pick the intention of soul missions, And it's really calling us to feel in this card, to feel and to vocalize what we're feeling. And as I was telling Kristen before we came on here, I just had a procedure, and I said, I'm here, hineni, but I might be feeling really uncomfortable. And you know what? With soul missions, that's the one thing that I can essentially rely on, is there's going to be uncomfortabilities, but it's allowing for growth. And sometimes we need to feel through those uncomfortabilities, because that allows for this depth to move and shift things at a great level.
I can't believe you're saying that. It's just so uncanny, because I've been anticipating like this retreat coming up for a while, and I wasn't really thinking about it, this women's retreat. I wasn't really thinking about it as a particularly transformative experience for myself. I was thinking about it as, okay, here's an opportunity to share my coaching system and meet some new people and just kind of da-da. Oh, no. It was...
Oh, no.
It was deeply, powerfully healing. The extent level to which, when I woke up the next morning, the day I arrived Friday night, enjoyed the day Saturday, did my little part, but I was ready to get into bed at 7:30 at night, because both Friday night and during the day on Saturday, I ended up sharing deeply and sensing deeply into parts of myself that it's almost like they were almost all the way healed, but they just needed one more big shine of bright light. And when I slept a long time, I could hear the retreat going on, but I knew I needed to keep my body and mind quiet. And then the next morning I came out and I sat at the table, and the woman who organized the retreat, Linda Gal McLeod, had something called an angel harp. Okay, it's a harp that I guess is tuned to a different, it's like a auto harp, but I guess the little buttons have been removed, so you actually strum it. And I guess it somehow communicates with Gail, or Gail communicates with the harp. And she went behind me and she said, "Oh, you're vibrating at a level above the angels this morning."
Whoa.
I know. And I'm like, first of all, I have no idea what she's doing. And the next thing I know, I'm hearing that message. And I'm like, yeah, I feel really good.
Wow.
I know. So it's exactly what you're saying, though. I was feeling deeply into some things that it was time to release, transform, contact into. And then, because I was feeling safe enough to do that, and I guess it was just divine timing, then I woke up in the morning with this just renewed an energy of a calm and present kind of energy, a peaceful energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. As you're talking and I'm kind of feeling through everything, is the word integration comes up in my mind's eye. And it kind of reminds me of something we did at the retreat with expression, the art. As we were talking about, like, this card literally has blue and green in it, and it makes this kind of like, blue and green to me is like turquoise, and that really symbolized for me this like creativity from the heart, right? And the power of one being able to share very deep things in order to level up, essentially, but really feeling through those things and having space held for you. Like you said, it's super powerful, and it tends to overflow over that container. And part of that is it's not always in that space that we do that work. That spilling over is part of the integration. And what is super powerful is finding some type of a creative outlet to be able to express things when like emotions get really, really high, and we need to like move that energy. And that's why the creative arts, like music and art and writing and dance, can really help us express things. So, at a collective level here, if you guys are feeling a lot of energy, try to shift your focus into something that's also within the heart that allows you to express it. We can always, say like, this isn't fair, or I can't feel this anymore, or whatever. Like, but when we say thank you for this emotion, and say, like shift the perspective and be like, all right, how can I truly feel this, but in the greatest form of the heart? This is one way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed that activity at the retreat, actually. And it felt like there were really two different ways that I expressed myself in my creative expression. One was very sort of conceptual and in the nature world. I made one little painting that was just like a little trellis of small flowers. Very dainty, very, very feminine energy, and I gifted that to the rabbi's wife.
Oh, wow. I love her.
Yeah, super sweet woman, was doing a lot of work at the retreat, and I thought, okay, let's give her some appreciation. And then the other piece that I made is very abstract. It's very colorful and bright and has just sort of, randomness to it. One is very sort of contained and within the lines and dainty and proper, and the other one is not at all like that. And, and that's great for me because it's, giving me freedom to be all of who I am. I can be inside the lines and dainty and proper and organized and aesthetically appealing. And I can also be like free-formy expressive, and here's a bright color, and I'm just making this random shape. And that the second piece does not have an orientation. You could change it any direction you want. It could be on this side. You could turn it a quarter turn, and it would just show you something different every time. Almost like some complex images in a tarot deck where you see one thing and then you turn the thing and you see something else. So
like that.
Yeah, like this card. I just pulled out the universe card, of course, right? Which is like in the Voyager deck. This is number 21. Okay, another powerful number. This has the back of the card, which is the actual DNA, the way DNA looks sliced sideways. It has a big elephant. It has a big, powerful, Ganesha type, image, and a black Madonna, and it's just chock and lots of space, like you're going through all the universes. So so maybe when I think about those two forms of art, they're sort of like what's potentiated, what could be, what could manifest, the open space, and then what we kind of choose in a moment to form that into.
You know what it sounded like to me? Because, I think through zodiacs a lot of times.
Oh, right.
It's like the organized piece, which is Virgo.
Right.
And which is her sun sign.
Right.
And then the other piece that was more abstract was your Pisces.
Oh, right. Actually,
your Earth sign.
Oh, well, it could have been... I don't know what I have a couple of different things. I actually have 4 planets in Virgo, but that could have been Sagittarius too. I mean,
totally.
That's my moon is in Sagittarius. My rising sign is Leo. So I'm interested in this Sagittarius. So tell more, please, about this phase we're going into with the Sagittarian energy.
Okay. So part of the Sag energy is it's led by Jupiter. Jupiter is expansion. Do you know the story about Jupiter? So essentially, Jupiter's father didn't want him and had swallowed up all of his brothers and sisters. And the mother was like, this is a very special child. I'm going to do everything within my power to trick him so that he does not swallow my child. I know this is, Greek Roman stuff, so
Right.
it's like
Right.
very weird. And I'm kind of speaking the names of the Roman. So then essentially she hides him, tricks him, hides him, and he thinks that he has, swallowed Jupiter. But he has not, and he survives. And it's like this, stroke of good luck type of energy, like right place, right time, that Jupiter Sagittarius gives off. It's part of our expansion. It's part of our magic and miracles. It's connected with God's sense of humor, essentially, because the most you might get yourself into the weirdest situations, but that faith is what brings you forward. It's the eternal optimist. It's like, I know I'm taken care of. We're good, and so it also is deeply connected with cultures, and more so. Essentially, God is our teacher and taking us on this journey to kind of illuminate things on the path. I would say, if I had to pick a card that was associated with Sagittarius, it would be the Fool card.
Okay, gotcha. So in a way, it's like when you're at that 0 point, it's like, okay, the universe could look so many different ways depending on, what culture you're coming out of, what time it is.
Yeah.
But essentially the wisdom remains the same. And that just was so deeply felt for me at several points in this retreat weekend. My path is Buddhism, but there were some super sweet Christian prayers said that touched me so deeply. I was moved to tears. I was like, that is just the most beautiful thing I've ever heard because of the wisdom that was being communicated.
I love that.
And it was like, the value is in understanding how to live our lives healthy, wealthy, and wise enough. Happy, healthy, wealth. I think James Wanla says, I can't remember it now, but basically, healthy, happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. They're enough, to be able to contribute to others and live with integrity, enjoy our lives. And, it's all around us. That's what was so profound. I was like, oh my gosh, the wisdom is just everywhere. It's just pervasive,
Right.
And I was just kind of overtaken with that. I was like, wow, there's just so much wisdom right here. And, that sort of goes back to, our connection with both really being interested in a, ancient wisdom tradition.
Yeah.
And I think once you start to develop a deep appreciation for one, sort of the magic of all the wisdom traditions comes to life, in
that's Sag.
in a much greater way. And then you're like, oh my gosh, it's such a shiny place, But we do our best to, keep up with our own tradition as best we can, while also, I'm always open to learning more about other wisdom traditions. I also feel like it's like a thing of that, like the time has come for that in our world and in our culture, that, understanding the value of all the wisdom traditions, it's just like knowing how to read, write, and basically use a digital device. It's like you also, at this point with our global village situation, it's just like you should understand something, a little bit of something about all the other major wisdom traditions, so that you are, first of all, not intimidated, afraid, or uncomfortable when you meet people of other faiths. You should be like, oh, tell me more about the ABC 1, 2, 3 that you do. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And that's like how we do ours like this, and it's different like that. And when did you start, and how serious are you? And it should be a conversation. It should just be like a natural conversation. What is your spiritual life? That to me, if there was more conversation about what does your spiritual life look like, and less about what do you do for a living. Not that we should all hopefully have the right kind of work for our skills and aptitudes, but just somehow in the mid-century, in this country at least, the focus got shifted off of being a good person to being successful. And I just would like to see it switch back. I'd like to see it switch to, how we can access our own inner guidance and our wisdom traditions to be people who are contributing to the wellness of ourselves and everyone else, rather than so concerned about what kind of car we're driving or if we stink a little or something.
I love that. I just put together why we get together, or like why we get along so well, is literally that Sag moon you have. I have Sag rising.
I see.
And I love Leos. My granny was a Leo, so. Also Judith, even though she did not know much about astrology, I did get a chance to look at her chart, and she had a Leo rising, which was funny.
Okay.
But one thing that I've always noticed with Sagittarius that I'd like to share as well is, like, I may never know the answer, right? But if I get that, like, that kind of like, I'm supposed to go do this right now. I have no idea why, but I just kind of got a feeling. And it makes no sense most of the time. Like, if it makes no sense, go do it, essentially, in my world. and that's, it's like, almost like again, that full card in tarot, you get this higher wisdom, you follow it, and the path starts to illuminate in front of you. Did you ever see Indiana Jones?
Oh, yeah.
You ever see the one with the Holy Grail?
Yes, but I don't remember details of movies very well.
So essentially what happens is he's about to like go into this cave where he's about to discover the Holy Grail, essentially. And the words that his father kept mentioning to him was, the penitent man will pass, the penitent man will pass.
Oh, I think I recall that, actually.
And so essentially, he follows the instructions in his dad's journal that was completely, like, you're talking about Indiana Jones was a very fact kind of guy. He went by that, okay? He did go by his intuition, but it was not necessarily faith-based. And his father's trying to teach him faith at this point. And so he's going through these different challenges, and right when he decides to bow down, penitent, okay, he literally, escapes that particular test, which was two blades coming out. And he rolls into the next one. And then he gets to this point. I think there was one test in between that. But then he gets to this one where he's literally seeing a huge gap where he has to walk, he has to jump across in order to get to the next part. And he's like, this doesn't make any sense. And so he literally just takes a literal leap and takes one step over the ledge, which from his perspective, he couldn't see anything other than he was going to fall if he took that step. And then he takes that step and he can see clearer because he made one step as a leap of faith. And he saw that in front of him was an optical illusion of stones leading him to the other side. And that right there is the embodiment of Sagittarius.
I see. That's great. So that sort of goes back to our surfer card, that there's all these energetic elements at play. Mm-hmm. And you have to sense in to what the energetics of the situation are and not necessarily believe what you might see or not see with your eyes. And what you actually end up seeing might not even be in the physical world. It might, that the directional clarity may come from something that's actually energetic, rather than anything that you would necessarily rely on with the five senses.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there's one other thing that I want to mention before we close out is this week we're actually on time with airing things right now. Like, this is gonna be pretty live episode. We're gonna be in Thanksgiving, this week. And just want to bring in the spirit of gratitude, as we did in our last podcast. Full circle. And I want to say how thankful I am for you. And also the opportunity, thank you, Hashem, God, Spirit, whatever your word is, that energy, that higher power. I want to thank you because I get to do these beautiful podcasts and have beautiful guests on here. And it really makes me feel at home. This is a sacred space for me. And I'm so grateful for this year and all the miracles within it.
And I'm so grateful that I'm having another opportunity to share the energy with you here on Energy Speaks. This is truly an energetic connection that Catriel and I have. And it just feels sort of like magic fairy dust here in the studio. And when we're together in this intentional way, and I do feel deep gratitude for the opportunity. And I really hope, with the deepest part of my heart, that our conversation will uplift, inspire, motivate, or provide clarity for people that listen. And for me, the touchstone for gratitude is appreciation, to be in the moment and fully take in, what's going on and how lucky we are to be, most of us in this country, with the situations and circumstances that we have relative to so many other people facing so much bigger challenges.
Wow. Mer. Well, I thank you all, divine, beautiful souls, for listening. And again, we're here every single week. Energy Speaks podcast. I'm your host, Catriel. Over and out.